In our household, a day can look very different from one day to the next. On the whole, it's busy, it's energetic, and then mixed with a bit of slow and steady and calm to complement it. I'm married to Stuart. We've been married for 25 years. I think Stuart and I really complement each other. Where we have weaknesses, the other one's strong at. So we kind of have this yin-yang thing going on. And we never have down moments at the same time. So we've been able to support each other really well. We're quite in tune to each other's needs. Becoming a mum is a huge learning curve because you have to almost empty yourself, and your needs, they get put to the bottom of the pile because your children, especially when they're younger, need everything from you. And I don't think anyone can prepare a woman or a man for that. I just think we do adapt to it, and it's really hard work. We've got Jackson, who's 13, and then we've got Meredith, who's 6. And we've got Violet, who's 2, our fur baby. And we have a very old rabbit. I've been a photographer since Jackson was born, but kind of supplemented it with part-time work, mainly for the NHS, doing office work, which I obviously really enjoyed. I loved working for the NHS, but yeah, I have recently given up that job. And over the next couple of months, we hope to open our charity officially. I have such a strong sense of calling to it. I think it's what I'm meant to be doing. Meredith has already made such a difference. I'm excited to share her story with people. Look at what my daughter achieved at just such a young age.
Oh, you do need that bit.
We never planned to have children. I think there was a point when having children just petrified me. That was the worst thing that could happen to me because of my insecurities about myself. And it wasn't really a Stuart and I thing. But I think at 30 that changed. And it wasn't that we felt something was missing, but a lot of friends were having children. And we're seeing that actually they were doing okay. It wasn't like the worst thing that happened. And yeah, eventually just changed my mind on things. Going into parenthood brings a lot of challenges to relationships, but we had like a really nice 10 years on our own to have a really good relationship to take into parenthood. And I think that helped us, and it's helped us with the challenges that we faced. So there's quite a big age gap between Jackson and Meredith. There's 7 years between them. We'd had Jackson. It was quite tricky at times with him as a child, much younger more so because he was diagnosed with autism at 4.5. There was quite a lot of challenges in making sure Jackson's needs were met, and we decided not to have more children, especially just things like getting him the right school, getting him to talk, all the therapies that he was having. But 7 years later, Meredith did come along, and she wasn't planned. She was the best surprise ever. And she brought a really nice balance to our family. Yeah. I feel like it has happened exactly how it's meant to happen. Meredith was very overdue, 2 weeks overdue in fact. Meredith did not want to come. And I'd gone into hospital at 7:30 in the morning and had a very calm cesarean section. I was holding her by 9:15. And it was all just very orderly and calm, but she was heavy at £11.5. The nicest thing was Jackson meeting her. That is a core memory for me. I'll never forget that. And yeah, it was a beautiful moment, him holding her for the first time and having that first interaction. Sorry. What is it that makes you feel like this when you speak about her as a baby? I think because I feel a bit stuck in that time period. Yeah, I do. I have a lot of joy. Meredith was an easy baby, affectionate, happy all the time. She would light up a room. She was playful. She'd be crawling in cupboards, falling in plant pots, so curious. smart and intelligent, and yeah, just an insanely happy baby. That's one of the best times of my life, actually. I think like when you have your baby and you can get kind of consumed in the milestones, the teething, the sleepless nights, the weaning, the going to baby groups, and it's a really joyous time. You're not working. You can just be focused on being a mum, which makes motherhood a little bit easier if you're not having to juggle a job and things. That maternity leave is incredible. But I feel stuck there because that's such a happy time in my life, and things obviously then did happen. So at the moment for me, I do feel very much stuck in the couple of years before this all happened. Yeah, and because there's no going back to that, because even if what happened with Meredith didn't happen, children grow up. Yeah, and essentially you have to let that infancy, that time, you have to let it go. Yeah, that's hard for a mum, and it's not spoken about enough. But yeah, I just feel like mine is probably a little bit more tinged because I feel like it was taken from me. Yeah, I didn't get to enjoy an organic experience with that. And I just feel like there's a year that was just where Meredith grew up an awful lot, but that was taken from us. So I feel a bit disjointed from it. So yeah, that's what I mean when I feel a bit stuck. Say I feel stuck. I noticed Meredith developing a lump on her forehead in the summer of 23, so she was 4. We were having a great summer, and she told me that she bumped her head in the night, and that's what it looked like. It looked like she had a little egg on her forehead, and I was like, oh, you gave that a good whopping lump. But I know those lumps can take a long time to come down. I really thought nothing of it, and I actually thought it was coming down in size. A bit delusional, I know, but it was actually increasing in size, and so I'd booked her in. I'd sent the photo, you have to send the photo and do the online form, and then 2 weeks later we had an appointment at the GP, so it was quite a bit of time, and it had like doubled in size. I think the day that changed it for us was we'd gone to hospital to have this lump checked on Meredith's forehead. I was not concerned. I was not worried about it. I just wanted to know what it was. She wasn't in pain. She hadn't been unwell. And we'd been referred to the hospital, and we'd gone to the appointment. They didn't seem concerned. Everything was calm. The doctors kind of came around and took a history, nothing worrying in the history. And the plan was to send us home. It just looked like a lipoma, so like a fatty cyst. But a senior doctor said, well, she's in, so we'll just scan it just to make sure, and then we'll hopefully get you home. And I think that was when it all just went really, really bad, really, really quickly. So she'd gone downstairs for an ultrasound, and the radiographer said, this doesn't look good at all. And we came out of the room for the ultrasound, and we had to just go straight in for a CT head scan. So we'd just come out of the wait room, wait here, you'll be going for a CT scan. They sent us back upstairs, and the CT scan had shown them that it was cancer. It was really traumatic the way he said it, and I can't explain it. He said, when we do a CT scan, we're either reassured by the results or we're not reassured by the results. And in Meredith's case, we're not reassured by the results. Just felt not real. This isn't happening. This is not real. there'll be an answer for this. That's all I had in my mind. There'll be a perfectly good, reasonable explanation for this lump. It's not cancer. There's no way. There's no way it's cancer. I just went into complete denial. Complete denial. Even as I walked onto the PM Brown ward at Southampton, which is the children's oncology ward, I was like, we'll just be here for the one appointment because this is a big mistake. They've got terribly confused. This isn't happening. And even as I walk in and I'm sat opposite an oncologist and she wants to run all these tests, I said, do them because it's not cancer and you will find this is something completely benign, like you've got it wrong. And I stayed in that mindset for a good few weeks until I had the results that it was actually a form of non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Yeah, complete denial. Wasn't real. Although my body kind of indicated we're definitely in the cancer world now. Look at what everybody's telling you. Look at where you are. Look at the ward you're in. Look at the fact that the lump is growing, Kate. Look, this is sinister. There was just a part of me was like, no, not my Meredith. No, no way, not Meredith. That's not part of her story. That's not, no. Meredith was diagnosed the week before she was due to start school. It just adds an extra layer of sadness to that point in our lives. Her shoes were ready, her uniform was ready. We'd done all the meetups with the school, everything was set to go, and yet towards the end of the summer holidays we'd found ourselves in this nightmare. It's hard when you have a child like Meredith because she is so smart and she has this understanding of things. This was before cancer had kind of come into our world, and so 2 weeks after Meredith was diagnosed, a close friend was diagnosed with a very similar cancer, and unfortunately we lost her 6 weeks after she was diagnosed. And Meredith was quite quickly able to ascertain, well, we've got the same cancer and she hasn't survived, and so immediately was able to ask us a question, well, is that going to happen to me? Am I going to die? And it was such a hard-hitting question, to one that it was totally appropriate that she was asking that question because she is intelligent and she's a little bit more advanced than she probably should be for her age. And we did need a moment to think about the answer that she deserved and could handle at 6 years old. We just acknowledged that our friend had passed away, but that Meredith's treatment was working, and reassured her, but with a tiny bit in the back of your mind thinking, I can't guarantee that for her. I'm saying these things, I'm trying to convince myself of that, but as it stands at the moment, everything's looking good and you are responding to treatment, whereas our friend didn't. And it definitely made us stop and think about how far we go. Like, what can a 6-year-old handle? And what should they understand about the world at 6 years old? Nobody's going to sit there and guarantee you, so you're kind of winging it. There isn't a pretty picture around cancer. It's generally associated with really traumatic treatment and a high risk of not making it. And so you associate that with your child. I think showing up for them is the hardest bit, because as a parent you want to scoop that problem up and take it and deal with it, and you categorically cannot do that. You have to watch lots of people doing lots of things. You have to watch lots of medications going in. And I just remember feeling completely helpless. I cannot stop this. I want to tell them to stop, give her a break. She's had enough, but that's not how the protocol works. And it's just the most helpless feeling. I just think for every parent that's gone through it, it's absolutely shocking to the core. That is a universal response to the news that your child has cancer. And I remember very early on, when she very first started treatment, as parents, we're all kind of walking around like zombies on the ward because are we really here? But your children are much stronger than you give them credit for.